But I was a little bit upset about something. I was thinking only about the remedy, how to fix it, how to fix it. And then as I was just sitting with it for a few minutes more, it came to me what my real cultivation is. Because we're always talking about cultivating ourselves, but it said that depends on what path you're on. So there's the Noble Eightfold Path, and that's called the learner's path, the path of the learners. And then there are two additional paths, and that would be the Arahant path and the Bodhisattva path. So there's 10 aspects to the path. 8 are the learner, and then the other 2 are actual paths that we walk out in life. And so I was thinking about how to fix it. What's my responsibility to act in a way that something gets rectified? And then as I was sitting there, it came to me about what my cultivation is. And Buddha Master said that saving living beings is a bodhisattva's cultivation. And I thought I understood what that meant. And I was so glad to hear it. You know, when you first hear something new, it's like, you know, it's like passing a grade. You don't just want to stay in the same grade forever and ever and ever. Even if you know everything, even if you can repeat everything, you know, there's no accomplishment in it. And so to just hear that saving living beings is a bodhisattva's, you know, cultivation. I'm thinking like, I have graduated to another class now. But then you have to walk in that class to really inherit it, to own it. You have to not just know something, know the right thing to say, or not even be able to explain it, but you have to be able to actually walk in it. And you walk in it in the moment that causes and conditions come together in a certain way, that becomes the skillful means to address that situation. So while I was sitting here thinking about how to correct something, what I should do, what I should say, it came up for me. A bodhisattva's cultivation is saving living beings. And at that moment, my heart was broken. And all I could feel was not the need to correct something, but I felt the terrible suffering and pain that was behind outward action. The suffering and the pain, you know, I was going to say in the heart, but we have to be careful about that word because that can get a little like out there. I mean, the heart, but I'll say that was in the mind stream of the person that caused them to suffer in that way. And then it was no longer an action taken that affected other people, although it does affect other people. I come and fart in the room, you smell the stink. That's just it. So it's not, but it wasn't bad. It was tapping into the mind stream that brought the fart. And who knows what's in that person's mind? Who knows what's in anybody's mind at any given time? We can only see it from our side, but we can't really know it from their side. Apart from having methods and practices that we do that can open us up in such a way that our mind can wrap their mind, and then we can know for sure what they are experiencing. Otherwise, we only just see it from our own side. However it lands on us, we say that's the way it is. But is it really that way? So this whole path work of becoming a Buddha that necessarily involves these bodhisattva path aspects becomes more important to us than all of our memorization and all of our reliances on a lot of heady words and our scholarly attunement, because none of that really means a lot. So I wanted to simplify Buddhist path today. And there are three principal aspects of the path. The first one is renunciation, really, really understanding what renunciation is. The second one is bodhicitta, arousing the awakened mind that causes us to want to save and later to be able to save living beings. And the third is having a clear and a correct view of emptiness. That's it. Those are the three. Just boil it down into a nutshell and make it like really concise. What is Buddhism about? It's about renunciation, bodhicitta, and understanding emptiness. I was reading a commentary, and as I was reading the commentary, I loved, and it was a short commentary, and it was by, it was a commentary on something that J. Tsongkhapa wrote or taught. And it sounds so beautiful. You know, I was thinking, oh, if I had words like that. And then I thought about what Buddha Master said. We read it last Wednesday. He said the Dharma should be given in a conversational tone, like chatting. That's how we communicate with each other. You know, like we just chat with each other. We just talk. But in that way, something can be conveyed, the attitude of something, you know, the essence of something. But some of our difficulty is that it has gotten obscured in some type of romantic language. You know, and we have a love affair with the Dharma and the pearly words of the Dharma. Don't understand any of it. But we needed to sound a certain way for us to feel like we're like inheriting something of great prize. But he said, no, you know, it should be as ordinary. And when our speech gets ordinary like that, then we know that we understood it and that we can convey it. And we don't have to cloud it up with fancy sounding words so it sounds like we know something that they don't know, but that we can just have a dialogue about it. It becomes clearer and clearer. So I'm going to read a couple of the passages from Jason Kapa's writing, and then I'm going to give it to you in Buddha Master's words and see if it makes a difference to you. So since taking keen interest in the pleasurable fruits of the ocean of compulsive existence without pure renunciation is no method for achieving the peace of liberation. In fact, by craving what is found in compulsive situations, limited beings are completely bound. So first, strive for renunciation. Since taking keen interest in the pleasurable fruits of the ocean of compulsive existence. What is that? What he's saying is simply is that renunciation must be pure in the sense of being like totally disinterested in the glories or the so-called good things of samsara. It doesn't mean we don't use them. You know, I brush my teeth every day. I have no love for the toothbrush or the toothpaste. It's something that I do, you know, and if I don't, like when I traveled the other, I had I think I had the big tube, but I had it in my carry-on, and they made me throw it away because it wasn't in my suitcase. And so when I got to my destination, I didn't have any toothpaste, and so I missed it. But good old Fetzer, they have everything. They have a whole, commissary. You can just pick up the phone and ask for anything. I love. So I asked them, was it, any around? And they said, oh yeah, just go into the commissary, take anything you want. Everything is free. And so I went over and I got it. So I love toothpaste in a sense, of I need it and what it does, but I don't have, there's no clinging for around the toothpaste. There's no craving for it. It's just something that we use, you see. But when things come up through us, we think it's ours, and that we possess something so personal and great, and there's a grasping around it, a grasping around it, a clinging around it. It can be a thought, it can be a painting, it can be a song, it can be a speech, which is why I try not to write much, so that I can't claim ownership of the words that I give, um, which takes a lot of bravery to like just kind of be on the cuff, you know. But then something can float through that might help somebody without you thinking, I'm the one that helped. We just offer from the space of realization that we have at this moment. And if we don't do that, we'll get bogged down terribly into the poisonous mind of self. And the thing is that the universe takes a chance on us. If you could think of the ultimate universe as the Dharmakaya, that was, which is without form, taking on a form, but needing an instrument through which that form manifests in the world, it's taking a big chance on us. And it's a great honor and it's a great privilege for the Dharmakaya, the universe, to trust us in a certain way. It says, can I trust you to carry this to living beings? It's more than trusting us. If you pay attention, pay attention. It's more than trusting us if you realize that they are entrusting us with something. And the minute that we claim any part of it for ourselves, we have this betrayal. And that's one reason why ego feels so bad. Because that original nature, which is us, recognizes the robbery. Now, this is not a Dharma talk for ordinary minds. This is a Dharma talk for people like you. So someone may listen to this later and might not be able to get too much from it. But I believe that we are in a certain state that we can get it and we can understand it. Taking keen interest in the pleasurable fruits of the ocean of compulsive existence without pure renunciation is not the way that you will achieve peace. But in fact, you will get the opposite. Craving is what is found in compulsive situations. And limited beings are completely bound by it. So first, strive for renunciation. But first, strive for renunciation. So that means that you have to be in a certain state of non-grasping before you really qualify to offer something. We learn something, we want to offer it, right? Because it's so yummy, it's so good. It helps so much, but without being in a state of renunciation, then what you offer is tainted, it's corrupted, even when it's a good thing, even when it's a good offering, even when as a standalone, it could help somebody. But by the time it flows through that vessel, that's tainted by clinging and craving and the sense of mind, like spoiled. Now I'm talking to people who want to be useful because we're coming into a new period where the release that we've been waiting for, you know, maybe we weren't waiting for it. Maybe it's been held up by us. That's what I've been thinking lately. That intellectually we understood. But now when our feet are to the fire, can we stand the heat? Oh, we might know how to put the face on. You know, we might know how to say the words that dazzle and bedazzle. You know, but in the inward places I'm talking about, is the motivation pure? There was an invitation that came in this week to speak on a podcast. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect time to speak on a podcast, you know, because then like we'll get out there places and open ourselves up to more people and more people are tuning in. That's the first thing that came to my mind, you know. And that's when I brought to my mind these three principles that are the platform on which everything has to be built. So that was a good idea, you know, like, yeah, and get out as many places you can, all of that, you know. And then there was the invitation to look at it all a little deeper. Because that's the first thing that came to mind. So then I Googled the person, you know, and I looked at his listenership, 49 people. We got 49 people. And I thought, no, I won't do that one. You know, but my mind right away started just jumping into the work. And what I'm saying is if we get really still, so many opportunities come for this, to have that, you know, but you got to be really still, really, really still. And without realizing it, you'll be caught up just in the heat of the moment, because that's that kind of underlying kind of ego boost that's under there. It's almost like you have to get to a constant no and be pushed to do something because you're so unattached to it. And that can feel like a scary place to be, you know, because you start wondering if you've gone too far. that you can't take care of business. You know, we are in the world after all. Because you're coming to the end of your own shenanigans. You're coming to the end of your own contrivances. You're coming to the end of the things that you can put together and piece together with your own mind. It's like moving out into this oceanic space and there is no anchor anywhere. And it's a very uncomfortable, disconcerting place to be in. You have to wonder, are you going crazy? How are you going to take care of yourself if you don't have any mind for these kinds of things? But it's having to learn how to be in a new territory. We can't bring over the things that we used before. Even if they served us well at the times before when we were using, entering into this new territory requires a different way of being. So he said that what helps us to overcome this kind of mind that grasps and that clings and that craves, and that as try as we might, we can't get the big I out of the way. He said the antidote for that is to think about the preciousness of this human life. What can be accomplished in this life? It's the only thing that can help us turn from our inner and outer obsessions. The only thing is to consider the preciousness of this life and that there's no time to waste in this life of enrichments. It's so difficult to find. He said it's so very, very, very rare to have this kind of life. That could be a dog, a cat, a squirrel, a bird, And they just live scrounging for what they need: food, shelter. And then they die. And the cycle starts again, here or there, in this form or that, around and around. Even when we attain things that we think put us at the top of the pecking order, that could be a sense of power or control over our circumstances, over others. At the end of it, nothing. And so he said we have to take a really, really, really hard look at this. It doesn't mean that we get depressed and like we abandon and throw away everything. It doesn't mean we get rid of our beautiful clothes. So relax, Suka, because she wears some of the most beautiful clothes, right? She puts things together. It doesn't mean that we, sell our houses and give away our cars and try to catch the bus or walk. It doesn't mean any of those things. But that it doesn't hold us in a certain way. We lose our ability to be enamored by our skills, by our talents, by our abilities. There's a new kind of nobility that emerges because you see the limited qualities of these things. So yes, we still have them. It can even sometimes be good to get more of it, you know. That doesn't hold us anymore. There's something else that we're reaching for that gives more of a quality to life. And you find that it's not so much tied in to what makes you happy, but the happiness of others. And it can feel pretty strange in the beginning. And Buddha says, keep going. That's the right direction. Talks about what we call death as life, and what we call life as a kind of death. We're in this now. You know, there's no way to get out of it. It's not going to be painful because we're already in the throes of it. But if we can shift our mind to think that at the moment of the end of this one, the Bible says, better is the day of one's death than the day of one's birth. Oh, I think if the New Testament was tied into a different set of scriptures and doctrine, we'd understand it in a completely different way. Because it's all in there. It's just been relayed and interpreted for us in a certain way. Better the day of one's death than the day of one's birth. Do you really believe that? Like I really do. Because I already know the limitations of this life. I mean, it's not that bad, you know. I've had and have gained and I've lost and I've had pleasure and I've had pain, you know. I've had fame and shame. I've had loss and blame, you know, all of them. But when I add them all up, I'm still coming up on the plus side. I mean, not everybody is. But I can only speak for me. I'm still coming up on the plus side. And yet, but I see the limitations. Because every now and then, something impinges on me that is more than what this world offers. And that's how I know that there is something else. But I can't quite see it without a corrective lens. And that's what the Dharma is. It's not changing anything. It's just simply allowing you to see more clearly. It provides a corrective lens. But this lens has the capacity to not only help you to see something differently, but to actually experience the same thing in a different way. And so all of these methods and all of these techniques, I wrote a prayer last night because I was reading calling the guru from afar. You know, we did a song like when the master calls from afar, and we put our words to it, you know. And that was us here looking, thinking like him calling me. But this treatise is called Calling the Guru from Afar. So that's not me hearing the master call and respond. That's me calling for the master. And I started writing. Sankapa wrote something. It sounded pretty much like this line that I read to you. I knew it was highfalutin, but I couldn't understand it. It's this beautiful word salad. I need a definition for every phrase. But I started to write, and I wrote this prayer, and it like just flowed out. And I said, because sometimes I'm asked, well, how do you hear from Buddha Master? Like what kind of thing is that? You know, and I can't exactly say what kind of thing it is in words that'll help somebody else to understand. But just thinking about that made me start writing a prayer. And I finished the prayer. And when I read the prayer back, it was pretty good. So I said, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to share it tomorrow, which I'm not, because it zipped right off my screen. And I was upset. Mm. But that was something that came in that moment. Maybe it wasn't to be shared, you know. Or maybe it could have been shared if my mind hadn't decided it was good enough to be shared. That's what I'm saying. If we don't have anybody to bring us in line with ourselves. Like we don't have anybody. I can't bring you in line. I can get you in line. You can't get me in line. There's nobody to do that. We have to do it ourselves. And so I was thinking, I wrote, when I think of what it is to walk the rest of my life alone, I think of you, Buddha Master. Because sometimes I miss Tanya Deepa. There was a certain way that we could communicate with each other that I don't have in my life, anymore. And I felt a tinge of sadness. I said, when I think about walking through the rest of my life alone, I think of you, Buddha Master. So I turn my mind to my teacher. And I try to line up with his mind, that mind where there is no sorrow, there is no longing, there is no missing. That mind that sees so clearly. So whenever I'm troubled by anything, I turn to you, Buddha Master. I turn my mind to my perfect teacher. And there's something in that allows me to enter into a different state. It's so sad to not have that kind of reliance. We may not think that that's important, but it is very important. I would dare say it's almost impossible, because the closest we're going to get to a Buddha is our teacher. That's the one who gave us all of these words. That's what they say. Take my word for it. That's what they say. They say that when your mind attunes to the mind of the teacher, it's no more than you looking in a mirror and seeing your own face. So when I'm looking in the mirror, I'm not looking for Pannavati. When I'm looking in the mirror, I'm looking to see the image of my master. And somehow that reflection comes back to me. because it causes a reverberation to the level of clearness, to the clarity by which I can see his face. And when I say face, I mean his character, his nature, that, who he is and what he represents. To the degree to which I can see that, I see that level of that in me. And that's the only way we can rub out self. So that's the purpose of the master, to let you know that you possess the same nature. And when you are assured of it, when you know it, then you can start to make withdrawals from that bank. And you can start to use it. They become the master like a hiding place. You are my hiding place. That's what I say to him when I fail miserably. When I don't live up to my own standard, he becomes my refuge. And I turn to him and say, you are my hiding place in times of trouble. See, we think that we're giving so much to give homage and respect to others. We think like, oh, that just takes so much from us. Really giving as if they need it. Just wanting to take what they have, but no respect. And so we can't get that much. It's impossible to defrag it and understand the data that's flowing. Not because there's a problem on that side, but because there's a problem on this side. And even when we know it, we say, I'm working on it. What I would that be? I'm working on it. That's the purpose of refuge. And renunciation is not possible without refuge. So these things flow one into another. We can put them together any kind of way we want to put them together. There is no set way it has to be put together so that you know everything. And when you fit it to the end, zip, you got it. But sometimes you need a little piece from here, and a little piece from there, and a little piece from over there, and a little piece from over there to keep like catching up. But then after a while, it starts to all blend together, and we know something. We really, really, really know something. And now it's become our wisdom, our knowledge. And so we say it's renunciation. But he said, it takes something for you to be able to renounce. And that's why you have the path of the learner. That's why you have the 8 aspects of the learner's path. That's the preliminary path. That's what establishes the foundation upon which you can evaluate every experience that you're walking out every moment of the day, what that means, how to respond to it. 100, how to show up 100. And that's why you have the constant reflection on, did I show up 100? What I showed up. Was it the ego-less I Or was it me? Was it Pannavati that showed up? And constantly evaluating in that way, not putting things in order, but looking at it all through the lens of my thoughts, my speech, my action, through every moment of the day. So I'm going to throw this in, and I don't know why I'm throwing this in, because I haven't come to a conclusion about it, But I have very vivid dreams, as you know. I fall out the bed, try to fly, all kinds of things, constantly hurting myself. But I started reading novels. These are, they're fiction. But what it's doing is it's putting me in touch with how people think. I'm like, really? It's been a long time. And I think I was a little bit out of touch, So if you want to be able to communicate with people, you have to be in touch, with how people think. And, when in the 50s, we thought a certain way. In the 60s, we thought, well, this is the end. It doesn't get any worse than this, people's behaviors and the ways they think. But then the 70s came, and it was a little bit more out there, and then the 80s and then the 90s. That was in the last century. And so now we get to the 2000s, and the way people think about life, I'm still thinking like the 60s. I'm still looking at how am I going to relate to them? We're living in a time of gender fluidity. I don't even know if that's the right words to use. I don't know the proper words. Don't send me no emails. But what I'm trying to say is some things that we considered standard, that's all gone. And I'm not saying that it's right or it's wrong. I'm saying it's all gone. That's all I'm saying. So if I have in my mind a certain bias about certain things, then that's going to creep into my conversation. I was listening to the Dalai Lama, and he was talking about how we should be in this country, like not constantly pointing out the due that we didn't get due to slavery or whatever. So look at us. Look at Tibetans. We came over from Tibet, and we're not crying about what the Chinese took from us. We're just here trying to offer the Dharma or give the Dharma, such as we have, we give. So don't be like that. And then he started talking to the Tibetans, and he said, don't be like the Chinese because they have no conscience. And so we should have pity for them. And so I started thinking we all have our biases. And that's why we have to be very, very careful about how we organize data and how we filter it and how we use it. And the minute it flows through us and we are attached to it, then there's going to be corruption. Yeah. This was not to throw shade on the Dalai Lama at all. Please understand, we can't be that personal about things. This is human nature, regardless of who says it. This is the way that we think. We could talk about everybody else, but that thing that's in our life, like that becomes a little bit special. And when we can get beyond it, that's what I spent my life doing. because I come from a slavery family. I know I started learning about seeds, all these karmic seeds and this and that in Buddhism. And I said, no turn this bird down to this ground, you know. And I made a vow to just a vow that I wanted to free my family. And I came back to the place where they were enslaved, and to the place where my sisters and brothers picked cotton and tobacco all day long and night. And when they finished picking for the master, then they could glean the fields for anything that they could put together and sell off. So you can imagine it wasn't much. And I said, because I don't want to have in my mind the seeds that are in theirs. I wanted, if it was any way, and I came on down. DC was not a lot different in some respects. We had the colored water fountain and the white water fountain. We had to sit in the balcony. We couldn't sit in the mezzanine in the theater. I didn't care. You could see better from the balcony. And later, when we could sit down there, you got talked about if you didn't sit down there. I mean, even going to the theater today, I cannot sit in those front rows. I can't see it. I go all the way up to the top, and they think, oh, it's just something in her mind back from her slavery. They out to the no. It's just like, I just see better. I got a bit better view than up on the screen like that. But I have to hear that from my peeps, like, oh, because she got some of that residue. No, I don't. And so I came to experience, to share my love or something like that, which I was stuck on, tolerate a slight, overlook a fault, that sort of thing. So I got a lot of practice at that, a lot. And I can't say I did 100, got 100 on my paper, on my exam. But I know I got a passing grade, I can tell you that. So I made a life, and I'm happy with my choices. So these are the things that we have to actually walk through and experience and come to know for ourselves. So somebody said to me, yeah, well, you must be saying all the nice things to white folks because that's all we see you with. And I'm like, I just say things. I don't think they're that nice to tell you the truth, because I'm just speaking to the human condition. That's all. And so I don't know why I shared that, but all of us have something in our lives, something, that thing that we just can't, let go of, that fashions and forms our attitude and our perspective in life and who people are to us, what they mean to us, and whether we can cultivate the capacity to love them without discrimination. Now, I'm not talking about race discrimination now, but I'm talking about whether we can love them, blemishes and all, And to be able to do that, to love them, blemishes and all, we have to be expecting nothing from them. And we have to be willing to give them everything. And that's what this renunciate path is. Surrendering our all. Surrendering to the wisdom, the only thing that will create a fallow ground for true compassion. And you see how that's so intricately tied into renunciation. Keeping nothing from yourself. So this kind of pure renunciation is the only thing that allows us to cut off this uncontrollably recurring rebirth. So we need to develop it by thinking over and over again about the problem of being born in the world. And spend our time, instead of being concerned with our obsessions, be concerned with the appearance of a different future. That's what understanding impermanence is all about. And this is how thinking we have no time to lose can help us. Next, we need to think about causality, the law of cause and effect. We think cause, effect. In the beginning, we don't even think cause and effect. We think, why is this happening to me? But later, we think cause and effect. And we think cause and effect like maybe 50%, 50-50, you know. But I can't figure out why, you know, that 4-year-old baby ran out in the street and got hit. What did she do wrong? I mean, so we get to some places that we say, like, that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit for us. The cause and effect has to become absolute, even if you don't know the reason, whether it was something in this life, something that if you're not clear and convinced on causality, then you'll not understand the Buddha Dharma. That's just it. So sometimes we just can't say, well, you know, but that part I just can't get with. So I leave that part over here, but I go for all of this over here. Because this over here will be interpreted in a completely erroneous way if you take out causality, because it's the root. If you don't like this one, find another, you know, philosophical bent, but you're not going to be able to make progress unless you just be like my cat chases his tail. And he clamps down on it hard too. You are such a fool, you know. And he doesn't get it. He'll just do it again tomorrow. But it's like chasing your tail. You will not make progress on this path. Better than to spend all your time trying to be a good Buddhist, spend your time reflecting on causality. And what happened before the first moment of your birth. I'll just say before the first moment of your conception. What before that? How did conception come to be? If you just stay right in that little section right there, after a while, your own wisdom will open up. Just don't like, I can't get it and toss it. Just keep going right there. Just keep lightly landing there again and again. What came before the first moment? My conception. What brought that into being? That's all. All you got to stay right there. You ain't got to go into the what ifs and backtrack into the first. Just right there. That's the point. And when your mind cannot, using your own worldly wisdom, cannot answer that question, after a while, you'll just tire him out and he'll relax a little bit and see what you come up with there. That's all. So when something happens, even if I don't know the cause, I know there what? There was a cause, right? And you're halfway through that process. So I know that there was a cause. It could be an error of omission or commission. It could be, the merit of something good. And it was like I was in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. It could be, this is what we find. We have a comedy of errors in this world, but not in all worlds. I think we were trying to figure out something. I can't remember what it was. But all of a sudden, Kadar, you know how she'll like blurt out something? Like she'll have this aha moment and she'll just blurt out something. And she said, "This thing's so slowly. Just the universe is unlimited possibilities," or something like that. And she like just, somebody was offering something to us, and it seemed like it's really good. You got to look at it really carefully. You got to look at all the factors and find out where we have fear around something. Maybe we don't think it's fear. We might just think it's caution. We might think it's being scrupulous. We might think it. So and all of a sudden she said, anything can happen, or something like that, and it's such a truism to break the shackles of our limited ideas of what the future can be based on history as we see it, not necessarily history as it was, but just from outside, just from our view. And so this renunciation helps to break that. And we start seeing a more limitless. That's what oceanic means. It means vast. Without it, you can't even fathom the end of it, much less see the end of it. You can't even imagine. The Bible talks about eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, and neither has it even entered into your heart. The good things that are in store for those that love the Lord and are called after his purposes. Doesn't mean just him alone, but anyone who is good. And so this requires a stretching of our faith, this kind of pure renunciation. It's not based on God bless the child. It's got its own, it's got its place. But I'm just saying. And so we can't get into bodhicitta until we have, our bodhicitta will only go as high as our degree of renunciation. And that means I take all that the world has to offer, the good and the not so good. I take all of that, but there's the and then some. And it's the and then some that I'm looking forward. He said, if you have this kind of mind, you live peacefully in this world. And if you don't have this kind of mind, no matter what you possess in terms of what the world considers its riches, you will be a pauper in spirit. And so this week, I'd like for you to really take a little time to contemplate what a pure renunciation is all about. And how refuge, the teacher, points us, gives us a reason to accept renunciation. Because it dims, and I'm finished for today, it dims glitter. My one of my daughters, and I both of them, one of them used to like glitter. You know what the problem with glitter is? It's messy. The glitter gets all on your floor, everywhere, on your clothes. It's just horrible.
Probably 3 weeks later, like stuck to your
Stuck to your eye, right. It's a giveaway. You were there. It was that glitter show up on you. You ain't say, I wasn't there. You'll find glitter in, you know. But it's like that. And the things of this world, strangely dim. The light of this oceanic glory and grace. If you want a little help with that, the three bodies, and when the three are joined together, that's what creates the fourth body of a Buddha, the Dhammakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, and the Svabhavakaya, when they're combined. It's so similar to some concepts, like the concept of God in three persons. I mean, there's just so many things, so many ways that things can be interpreted and understood in a useful way. It's languaging, but you can move beyond the languaging to the experience of something. And once you do, I'll tell you, you can never go back. Whether you're successful today or whether you fail today. And when you think about all of those who really want to be successful, how they suffer when they fail, it will change your response to them and set you up with the kind of attitude that you really, really, really will develop a desire to save all living beings. So we can't work our way into bodhicitta without renunciation. And our bodhicitta is only going to be as rich, it's only going to carry as much quality as our renunciation. So no need to even talk about emptiness. We're just talking words. I think that's what I want to share today. And I'm happy that we are invited to take another go round into understanding renunciation. means something entirely different. A lot of things that we laid down, we might go pick them back up. And some things that we didn't think factored into the equation, suddenly I can see. Thank you for coming today. If somebody will offer dedication of merit.
Dedicate the merit of Dharma and our deep discernment and questioning today to all beings who suffer. May all beings be released from suffering. May they look within. May they discover what needs to be seen and renounce it so that they can truly be free.
Sadhu. Lessen your obsession with this life alone. Lessen your obsession with this life alone.